It's Thursday, July 26th, and time for your Barbados Today Morning News Update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. At the height of intense police investigations into Monday's drug bust that involves 3 of its employees, local conglomerate Goddard Enterprises takes action. On Wednesday, the company relieved Chairman Charles Herbert of his duties. Herbert, who is also the head of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Chris Rogers, the company's non-executive director, and the 3rd employee, whose identity has not been revealed, are being questioned by police in connection with a near $3 million drug seizure aboard the luxury yacht Ecstasy, owned by Goddard. Police are yet to charge the men. In a statement, Goddard Enterprises named Deputy Chairman William Putton as acting chairman. It noted that it was aware that 2 of its directors and a staff member have been detained by police, and it looked forward to putting the matter behind them once the facts are fully emerged from police investigations. The company has also assured stakeholders that it continues to uphold the highest standards of ethics and integrity. In other news this Thursday, there's too much secrecy and too many delays at town and country planning, and developers and stakeholders are not only frustrated, but they are also wary of the planning process in Barbados. Consultant Kim Penfold with the housing, planning and regeneration company Penfold Associates shared that candid view on Wednesday as stakeholders held the second in a series of consultations on the reform of the Town and Country Planning Act. He argued that the current system was a major deterrent to investment, encouraged illegal development, and created contempt for the planning system.
The system's also beset by secrecy. And I use that word deliberately because decisions are actually made that you don't know anything about. That destroys confidence and trust, and it raises suspicion about corruption. Something could actually happen in a completely open and a completely honest way without being open, and that is a problem. It raises suspicions of corruption, whether corruption exists or not. And again, this secrecy deters investment.
Penfold also stressed the need for consistency in the granting of approvals. While admitting that there would always be exceptions, he said such matters should be handled in a clear and open manner.
Transparency and openness is fundamental. It builds trust and confidence. Consistency is something which people tell me they want. Now, I know there are going to be situations where consistency is impossible. There are exceptions, but each exception has to be dealt with in a clear, open, and explained fashion. And finally, on these cross-cutting issues is the governance point, which I hope you'll apply to all the rest of the discussion. The governance point comes down simply to who makes a decision. Sometimes at the moment it's the Prime Minister, sometimes it's the Chief Town Planner. Should the Prime Minister have to make decisions about silly little things? Should the Chief Town Planner have ultimate authority on almost every application that goes through the system? These are things which I hope you can look at.
Legislation is coming to promote vending in Barbados, so says Small Business, Entrepreneurship and Commerce Minister Dwight Sutherland. As he addressed local manufacturers yesterday, Sutherland said vending was a big business and his ministry will remove criminal penalties hindering the trade. He, however, made it clear that vendors will be required to comply with the rules.
We have reached a stage that we have criminalized vending, and I am not one who will come here to try to grow business but yet become punitive. We have to remove all of the fears and all of the major obstacles to business development in this country, whether it is vendors, whether it is the wayside vendors selling coconuts, eggs, whatever. We can't criminalize vending and expect that our economy will grow for a small business. So our ministry is charged with that responsibility, and we are presently working on drafting documents that will go to Parliament that will amend legislation to ensure that vendors are seen as entrepreneurs and small businessmen in this country, and they play a very critical role.
In sports, West Indies will tour Bangladesh later this year. The Bangladesh Cricket Board has announced a month-long tour that will see the teams lock horns in 2 tests, 3 one-day internationals, and 3 2020s. This will also be the first full tour of the Windies to Bangladesh since 2012, when the visitors won the 2-match Test series 2-0 before losing a riveting 5-match ODI series 3-2 and ending the tour with a win in the Seoul T20I.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In news from the region, we head to Guyana, where 5 bandits were killed following an early morning shootout with police on Tuesday in East Coast Demerara during a home invasion. We get the details in this Capital News report.
The men, who were armed with high-powered weapons, reportedly cut the lock from the gate and gained entry to the yard. The bandits managed to enter the property and were reportedly in search of a safe believed to have contained cash. Residents in the area said they were awakened to rapid gunshots from both small and high-powered weapons, which lasted for several minutes.
About 2:30. It finished just about 3:15. Rapid gunfire, small arms and large arms. After that, my son got diarrhea and vomiting immediately. He's right here. Immediately. I come out, I whistle, call out the neighbors and everybody for us to go and see what's really going on. But everybody was scared to go out. Everybody run back in.
There are Andrew Daly, Timothy Sintel, Levi Blaffett, Eon Ford, and Jermaine Dubé. The police recovered an AK-47 with double magazine and 2 rifles, along with a pair of gloves, a nipper, crowbars, hacksaw, 4 warheads, a pair of slippers, and 3 cell phones.
And on the international scene, the U.S. has agreed to work towards lowering trade barriers with the European Union. The developments came after a meeting between the U.S. President and the European Commission chief. The details in this Reuters TV report.
This was a very big day for free and fair trade. Very big day indeed.
A ceasefire in the transatlantic trade war. President Trump and the head of the European Union agreeing to step back from the brink and work to lower trade barriers between the world's 2 largest economies, putting off for now the tit-for-tat tariffs that threaten to slow global trade. I'm Andy Sullivan in Washington, where Trump and European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker appear to have found common ground. A surprise announcement in the Rose Garden laying out the broad strokes of a possible agreement that could ease economic tensions. The EU would agree to buy more soybeans and natural gas from the United States, and both sides say they'll work to dismantle the tariffs that they recently put in place. It's a dramatic turnabout. Earlier in the day, the 2 sides appeared ready to escalate their dispute.
I had one intention. I had the intention to make a deal today, and we made a deal today. We have identified a number of areas on which to work together.
Since taking office, Trump has framed trade as a zero-sum game. Earlier this year, slapping tariffs on imported steel and aluminum. The EU responding with duties on American bourbon and motorcycles. Both had readied a next round. Trump targeting European automobiles, the EU looking at farm products, machinery, and high-tech.
And on that note, we come to the end of our news and sports update. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.